Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm glad to have you. If you are new here, welcome, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you get notifications when we upload new videos. We are finally getting in a good groove of filming videos and planning videos and getting them uploaded for y'all to kind of watch about twice a week. I still can't even commit to which days of the week that's going to be, so just bear with us and check in every day. So I just thought that I would take this time to answer some questions that many of you have asked me on social media. I don't know about you, but whenever I watch YouTube channels, and I really don't watch a ton of YouTube channels, but I do have a select few that I like to watch. I love the Q&A answer segments just because I like to get to know them. And, you know, I like to treat them as if they're my friend and they're sitting here right next to me, and I like to know what kind of ice cream they love and, like, what are their beliefs on, you know, on their faith and marriage and all the things. So I thought it would be fun for y'all, for me to do this Q&A. Okay, I'm just going to read them off of my sheet right here. I've kind of got them written out so I can look at them. But the first question is how did you meet Stan? We do have another video where we talked about this. So in one of our other Q&A videos, Get to Know Us. But the first time I remember meeting Stan was through my cousin Jonathan. We had met at a high school football game. Stan and Jonathan were good friends, and then Jonathan was great about kind of taking me, his little cousin, to football games and all the school functions. So that is how I met Stan. How long have you been married? We have been married 22 years this October 10th. So let's see, I guess that makes me about 20 years old when we got married, and he is 6 years older than me. And so he was, you know, about 26 when we got married. So I got married when we were young. What does a typical day look like for you? A typical day when we are not in quarantine during the week looks like we wake up. We are not super early risers. I usually will wake the kids up about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and we will wake up, eat breakfast, and start our homeschooling day probably about 9 or 9:30. We will typically do homeschooling until about lunchtime or maybe a little bit afterwards. And then 3 to 4 days a week we have therapy. So I am usually traveling about 20 minutes away to take the girls to therapy sessions. Mika goes 2 days a week and Isabel goes 3 days a week. So I kind of have to schedule our days around therapy sessions depending on what time those are at. In the afternoons, Emerson has a little nanny job, and so I pick her up at 3:30 in the afternoon from her nanny job. And usually at that point, I will either take Jackson to tutoring or I will go to the gym myself. So I'll bring Emerson back home, and I will usually go to the gym about 4 days a week. I have a friend of mine that we meet in the afternoons or early evenings to work out. So I do love to get my gym time in just to have a little time to decompress, and it just makes me feel better. Then we come home, cook supper, or I'll pick up supper, whatever I'm feeling like that day. And we just really keep it really low key. Obviously, baseball season should be starting up soon. Again, because of the quarantine, I have no idea if that is even going to happen. But so we will have, you know, baseball practices in the evening time. That will keep us really busy. But typically we keep our schedules pretty free. I try not to overwhelm our plates with extra things in life. So it's just, you know, homeschooling and lunch and therapy, tutoring, the gym, home, do church on Wednesdays and Sundays. And so, but other than that, we're pretty low key with our schedules. Do your older kids plan to adopt? Yes, they all plan to adopt, and I hope that that happens. It's so awesome to find Rainey, our daughter-in-law. Her and Addison have been married almost a year. But before we even met her, she already wanted to adopt. In fact, I think she said she planned to go to Africa, and she wanted to do some mission work in Africa before she met Addison, and obviously things changed for them. But she already had that heart to adopt and to help the needy. So I just love how God went before us and prepared a daughter-in-law and a wife for our son who had the same heart as we do. Would you trade intelligence for looks or looks for intelligence? I do have to say it's a no-brainer. I would choose intelligence over looks. Let's face it, if I'm super smart and God has blessed me with a lot of wisdom, a lot of book smarts, a lot of street smarts, like all of those things, I could find some way to improve my looks, right? But if I'm dumb as a brick and am the most beautiful woman in the world, like that really doesn't do me much good. I really can't go anywhere in life. So I'm going to choose intelligence for that one. Did any challenges arise with your older children when you brought Isabel home? So I'm sure internally, you know, they may have had some frustrations when Isabel came home because it rocked all of our worlds. We have some kids who are better at articulating their frustrations or their challenges or how they're feeling within a certain situation, and we have some that kind of bottle it up, right? But I think at the end of the day, while we all, you know, in our household have frustrations and we have good days and bad days and we're more frustrated about the situation than maybe we were a week ago, I think that's normal. And I definitely go through those roller coaster ride of emotions since bringing Isabel home because it's just a whole new world to us. But at the end of the day, I can't really say that there have been any huge challenges that have come about since bringing Isabel home. Our kids, and I just think it's just a God thing how He has prepared their hearts. And that doesn't mean that it's been easy. It's just He's given them this very mature kind of way of looking at adoption and why we have chosen to adopt. I get emotional. But let me tell you, I think they are very much like us, and I say this out loud a lot. When I'm getting frustrated with Isabel and her crying and her very particular way of doing things and her stubbornness, I usually, and my kids usually don't stay stuck in that too terribly long, because you can just stop and think about the 5.5 years of the very terrible life that she lived alone in a baby bed with no interaction. And you just all of a sudden are like, Ashley, get over it. Like, it doesn't matter if you're frustrated right now. You're doing this for this little girl because otherwise she would be dead. You're doing this because God has called your family to walk in obedience, to adopt and bring home this little child that is going to disrupt your comfortable life. But you chose to obey Him. And with that comes hardships. But through the hardships, we know that God is doing a great work within our family and within each of their lives. So challenges, just being frustrated and just learning how to deal with a little girl like Isabel, yes, but nothing big, nothing that is causing strife or anything within our home. What kind of vehicle do you drive? So we are a minivan family. I do. I drive we bought it about 1.5 years ago, but it's a 2016 Honda Odyssey van. Kind of has all the bells and whistles. I love it. It seats 8 people. So yeah, that's what I drive, and it works for us now. Do you have alone time, and what does it look like? Yes, I actually do have the opportunity to have alone time whenever I need it or want it. You know, our older kids are very independent and very helpful with the little girls. So if I just need a breather, or I want to go to the gym, relieve some stress, or if I want to go shopping for myself, it's very easy just for me to say, hey, Emerson, can you watch the little girls while I go out for a couple hours? Or if Stan's home, he never questions if I decide that I want to get out of the house for a little while and leave him with the kids. So having alone time is really not a very hard thing to come by. How do you cook for everyone in your family? So truth be told, I do not really care for cooking or baking. I do it because we have a large family, and obviously eating out every day of the week is not going to fit within our budget, nor is it just healthy. So we'll usually eat out about 1 meal a week, I would say. Sometimes more than that, sometimes less than that. So it just depends on how busy the schedule is. But I love a crock pot. So I use my crock pot probably 3 to 4 days a week. Some of our favorites are, let's see, we love shrimp bisque. We love gumbo. We love to grill out. Stan has a grill and he likes to get out there and grill, especially during the springtime when the weather is cool and pleasant to be outside. So we do typically grill hamburgers or barbecue chicken or something like that, maybe once during the week. So yeah, those are some of our favorite meals. I keep it real basic, real simple. Is Mika a daddy's girl or a mommy's girl? And what about Isabel? So Mika is pretty funny. It goes back and forth. One minute she'll look at me and say, "Mommy, Mommy." And then the next literally minute, 2 later, she'll say, "Daddy, Daddy." So she loves to play little games on who her favorite is at the moment. But she loves her daddy. Gets very excited when he comes home. She loves to sit in his lap and snuggle up with him. So she's a daddy's girl, but if she gets hurt or she's sad or she needs something, she's going to come to me. Isabel, same thing. Stan can get Isabel to laughing like no other. I can be holding her for 3 hours and can't get a giggle out of her. And as soon as she hears Stan's voice, she reaches for him and she starts laughing. But on the flip side, when she's frustrated and crying and fussy and she's not happy with Stan, I can take her and calm her down and, you know, get her to quit crying. How do you afford such a large family? Well, I really don't know. Stan works very hard. We live within our means. We do not have debt except our house and our van. We live within our means. I feel like that's the biggest key, and it seems so complicated to so many, but it really is not. We have one vehicle. Stan has a take-home unit. We don't have a lot of extra toys and boats and all of these things. You know, we work hard to provide one nice large family vacation a year. I think there's always room for improvement in how we spend our money. I think there's always room for improvement. But we live within our means, and we do feel like we are using wisdom in knowing that we must put money in savings every paycheck, and that knowing that God has blessed our family abundantly. And I do feel like one of the reasons why we are able to provide well for our family is because God has just truly blessed us, not because of what we've chosen to do with our adoptions and how we lead our family and how we live our lives in hopes to glorify Him. But He blesses us because He blesses us because He is who He is. And I don't know how we afford such a large grocery bill every 2 weeks. I don't know how we do it other than God has just really abundantly provided for us. We live within our means. We seek to give where we can give and when we can give. And we know that God has abundantly provided for us with what we have. And so we want to give back, and we want to be wise with the provisions He has given us. Okay, the next question is, do you prefer the beach or the mountains? I prefer the beach for sure. What is your favorite meal? I love Mexican. I love chips and salsa, chips and queso. Anything Mexican I absolutely love. But look, truth be told, I love all foods. As Emerson says, I don't discriminate against foods. I love to eat. So I'm really not a picky eater, but if you had to ask me what's my favorite style of food, it would definitely be Mexican. Let's see. The next question is are your older children doing Zoom online during the quarantine? And we are a homeschooling family, and so I have homeschooled from day one. So no, they are not having to do Zoom online schoolwork. All right, someone asked, what 3 YouTube channels do I enjoy watching? I will link these below because obviously if I like them, they're adding value to my life, or there's something on there that is of interest to me. So This Gathered Nest, Angela Braniff, is one that I absolutely love. She's a homeschooling, large family. She's adopted several children, has a couple biological. I just love their family dynamics and all that they kind of stand for as a family. I love Do It on a Dime, which are just quick, easy, organizational cleaning videos. Let's see, what is another one that I love? Oh, Grace for the Millers. Again, they're an adoptive family, and so I have just started watching them as well. So I would say that's my top 3. Do you allow your children to have social media? So when Addison was about 15, I think, we did allow him to get Instagram. I don't think I have to tell y'all that, you know, there's a lot of yuck that comes along with young kids being on social media and having access to their own accounts that aren't being monitored. I just kind of realized, like, I feel like that's just kind of one of those areas of life that I want to, not just because you just turned 14 or because everyone else has a social media account, then my child gets to have it too. But that's just not something that I feel like I have to give into or that we want to give into. And when I say I mean we, Stan and I, agree pretty much on all of these topics of conversation that I might be talking about today, but we are pretty much always in sync with each other. Okay, next question is, do you prefer sweet or sour? Definitely prefer sweet. Do you take family vacations? Yes, we do take family vacations. We do feel like that is one thing that is very important for every family to do if possible. It doesn't have to be on a grand, large scheme of a vacation. Whatever will fit into your budget, then we do feel like it is something that is very important and something that our kids will always remember. So we normally go to Orange Beach, which is in Alabama. We go and rent a really nice condo right there on the beach, and we spend a week. So we are very intentional on making sure that we save our money so that we can provide a nice vacation for our family. My friend asked, is it hard to spend time with the 2 younger boys now that Mika and Isabel are home and are needing us so much? And I do feel like it can be a challenge. It can be a challenge if you allow it to be a challenge. You have to remember that one-on-one time and quality time spent with one of your children or even with your spouse doesn't have to be a big movie date night or this big activity that you've got to plan to spend time with them. But I know for my kids, just being, you know, allowing one of them to come with me to therapy sessions and just driving them, you know, while we're waiting on the girls, we just sit in the car and chit chat, or we might go get some ice cream or get a Sonic drink. I think just having one-on-one time, because let's face it, we all need a break from each other. You know, the boys need a break from each other, and I need a break from the kids, and Stan needs a break. So we all need a break and just time alone. And so I definitely can tell in behaviors within my children, if the behaviors start to change and attitudes start to change, that they're needing some time away from their siblings and they're just needing one-on-one time with mom or dad. Okay, so someone said, how do you stay so fit even though you homeschool and are a special needs mom? And I kind of giggled at that because I'm like, I'm not fit. I do like to exercise, and I do exercise probably 4 or 5 or 6 days a week. Mainly because, number one, I have girlfriends to work out with. So I have like a little community of friends that we hold each other accountable. We work out together, whether it's on FaceTime during the quarantine or when life goes back to normal. I meet my friend Carol at the gym. So I am not athletic by any means. In fact, in high school, when I ran track or I played softball when I was younger, I was never the best player on the team. I was average at best. But I always hung in there. I was very diligent, and I always saw it to the end, even though I would come in last place almost every single time. So I'm not athletic, and it's not within me to just kind of be natural at doing athletic activities, but I have developed a love for working out and lifting weights. right before Michaela came home, I decided that I would kind of check something off of my bucket list, and so I did run a full marathon, 26.2 miles, and it was the hardest thing I think I've done physically in my life ever. I have no desire to do it ever again, but I also love to eat. So to prevent myself from blowing up like a huge whale, I've got to exercise to kind of maintain what little muscle I do have and to still be able to fit in my clothes, right? How many siblings do you have? So I have an older brother. His name is Jeremy. He is 3 years older than me, so he's about 44, 45. And then I have a younger sister, Robin, and she is 3 years younger than me. Okay, let's see. The next question is, do you follow a diet plan? Throughout my years, I have definitely followed many diets. So I have done macro counting, calorie counting, I've done keto, I've done just the whole eating, less proportions but not counting calories. I've done kind of all the things, and they all have worked for me. So I love all the ways of following a diet. There's many different ways that really work for everyone and that have worked for me. After bringing Isabel home, I gained about 15 pounds. I was the largest I had ever been non-pregnant, just to do the stress and lack of sleep and just not eating well. So I have just found my headspace right now. I just cannot commit to a diet. I can't commit to macro counting or keto or anything that I am going to have to put a lot of thought and effort into. And to some that may sound lazy, but I just don't have the mental capacity, the enough want or drive to commit to logging my food and doing things that maybe I have done in the past that I know work. So for me right now, I'm working out. I'm trying to sleep get 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night, because we know that definitely affects your hormones and all of those things, which can then cause weight gain. And I'm just intentionally trying to eat less and monitor what I'm eating. But let me just say this, I've been eating candy like all day long for the past 10 days. My eating has not been on par, but I don't follow a diet plan right now, and I'm totally okay with that. Okay, y'all, so that's going to wrap up this Q&A session. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. I feel a little awkward sitting here talking about myself for so long. But hopefully that gives y'all a chance to kind of get to know me a little bit better and kind of know more about my personality, my likes, my dislikes, and kind of how things rock and roll around our house. I appreciate y'all joining in, and if you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, then go ahead and do that now. Click the little bell so you get notifications, and I will see you next time. Bye.